Ellie's spaceship, finding out who Bill's partner Frank is and how it differs from the game versus the series. We're going to be discussing all of that and more on today's episode of the Firefly Review Board. Let's jump into this. Ladies
Let's
and gentlemen,
go.
Abby and Fumba. Let's start off with the basics. What'd you guys think?
Best episode yet, I
Yes.
think.
I think
100%.
everybody. I think that is universal. If you look
Yeah.
at all the reviews that are on this thing, everybody is saying this is the best episode by far of the series.
Yeah.
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 It like understands the core of what The Last of Us is as a game, as a franchise. It completely adapted, like all the people complaining that was too similar to the series or to the games are now complaining that it diverges too much.
It's too different.
But
I mean, you can't please
this
anybody.
episode proves like this is exactly how you adapt something. You know, it's already proving it to be not just one of the best video game adaptations, but like just one of the best adaptations of anything ever.
Yes.
And just amazing episode.
Agreed.
I 100% agree with Abby. Yeah, I mean, so to be completely honest, I just watched it a bit before the meeting, so I'm coming in kind of fresh, and yeah, man, I 100% did not expect this interpretation of Bill, but I love it. I think it does sort of build on top of what's already there, but just adds so much more nuance and just it gives you more empathy for this character. And I genuinely think that that's a sign of a really good adaptation, right? Like you're building up on top of what's already established. Right. And especially for a character that really didn't have that much motivation to begin with, they just kind of were a vehicle for you to get from one section to another. So for you to have such a but we'll go more in depth into it specifically. But no, I genuinely love this episode. It's great storytelling, great writing, and I think in terms of the critics, you really just can't please anybody. Like people will find a reason to complain about anything, but regardless, it doesn't take away from the fact that this was a great episode.
Yeah. I think that's just some of the diehard fans that are just like super in love with like just what happened in that particular segment with Bill in the video game. But
I think the only people like I've seen like complain about that much is like not even the diehard fans, maybe just for the first game, but it's like still like the people I've seen complain about it are the people who cry like woke mob mentality on anything, you know? It's like they don't even know what the word means anymore, and they're just throwing it out there. And it's like I thought this controversy was going to happen, but I thought it was going to be like way later. You know, this happened way earlier than I thought.
Yeah,
like the woke outcry. You know,
that's great.
So sorry, are you saying that the woke outcry was saying that the episode was bad, or are you saying that people were saying?
Oh, now they're saying like, oh, they're making the first game woke now too, which makes no sense because Bill was gay in the game too. Right, it might have just not been like blatantly over your head with it, but if you played it, you would know that. You know, there was enough context there.
Yes. Yeah. If you looked for it, there were clues to filling in the blanks with that, you know.
Yeah, dude, Ellie takes a gay magazine out from his like in the car, remember? And she like it's all sticky, and they make a joke of it. You know, it's like, what else is that supposed to mean? Guys? Come on, like, can you make it more clear? Like, it's
I guess he spilled some syrup on it, man. What do you think it was?
Oh my God, man.
I don't know. Yeah. But I mean, like overall, super good episode. My overall thoughts, amazing. One thing that was pretty interesting that was interesting in comparison to the game is that, like, obviously the game is solely focused between Ellie and Joel's perspectives, and the fact that we were able to go outside of that was really interesting. But before we get too far into that, you know, the intro scene where they're going through the shop and they're looking through stuff, which I really liked because it was one of the first times in the game where you're like, there's nothing in this place. And you're looking around and you're trying to find, you know, tweezers or bandages or like water or something like that. But just looking for supplies, which is a huge component of like what you do in the game. So, and there's this one particular scene that was interesting, and I want to discuss it with you guys, the Ellie and the infected that's in the basement scene. So what are your guys' general thoughts on that and why they might have shown that in the show, or in this episode rather?
I mean, I think it came from trying to show Ellie with like Ellie in the game already has this aspect of her like just this sort of childlike wonder, but also intrigue with trying to adapt in this world that she's not really from, that she's born in, but she's really not all that familiar with because she has only lived in a bubble, so to speak. And I think it also showcases her morbid curiosity with that scene, right, where she's looking at this clicker and seeing it, like, and trying to understand what it is before ultimately just killing it, right? Because no matter how much intrigue she has with this thing, it's still a threat. And it also just shows that, like, she has this, like, this childish nature when it comes to death and people, right? Because the fact that she keeps trying to get a gun and like begging for Joel to get a gun, it shows that there's this naivety, and she's not quite grasping the reality of life and death, or the dangers of things, even though she's actively in it, right? I think that it was just a scene to really just harp on that, at least to me, was just to showcase, like, yeah, even though she's still trying to survive, it's just like morbid curiosity,
Right.
but it could be more. I don't know.
Right. What do you think, Abby?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Fumba too, where I think like part of it is definitely there. It's like Ellie, like that's a huge part of the game with Ellie too, where like Ellie learns so much from Joel about the life before and everything, and it is like she's a kid. It is like hammering down on that, and her sense of morality is completely skewed growing up in this world, which is combined with the childish naivety, like that's what is happening. There's no other way it would happen. She's surrounded by violence, she's desensitized, but what it's also doing, I think, is rewriting a smoother way to transition into part two storytelling, because you see a vengeful side of Ellie. You see that she kind of craves violence in a way, and she seeks it out. That was a helpless infected. It would never hurt her, She is seeking out vengeance. She's seeking out violence, which is entirely what part two is about. And this is just like the scene where they kind of rewrote in episode 1, where Joel beats the shit out of the Fedra guy. And Ellie sees it, and she doesn't look scared, and in fact she kind of looks like intrigued by it. So it's kind of building upon this, like, the cycle of violence is going to continue, she's going to become like Joel, blah blah blah, and it's just going to continually go on. So I think they're setting up not plot per se, but character, nature, and like moving into the plot later.
Right. I that's interesting, because when I watched it, like, one thing that I found very interesting was the fact, and you could definitely look at it from your guys' perspective, like hearing you guys say it, it definitely makes sense from that point of view. But like there's this one part where she could have just like stabbed it and killed it right immediately, but instead she cuts it open, and out come the fungi, right, that's inside of this person, this dead human being. And essentially it's a dead person, a meat suit essentially for this fungi to just roam around on the planet with, right? So it seemed to me more like you have this person who is trapped underneath the rubble. I mean, most times when you see infected, it's terrifying, and they're like the clickers when they're trying to chase after you, and they're gonna bite your neck off, which has happened to me multiple times in the game. But like in this particular case, when you see her and it's like and then you compare it to that what you were just speaking with Joel and him beating the shit out of the Fedric officer. It seems to me like there's this realization that she has that there is not so much that you want to be violent, but there's a necessity for violence in this world in order to make survival. It survive, and exactly. And to kind of hamper on that just a little bit more, one thing that I found, one of my favorite moments in this episode was a really small moment where they're walking by, you see a plane, and they're like, dude, you were in a plane, you were in the sky, right? And as much as we like find it to be an inconvenience to be kind of sardined into like these little tubes as they propel themselves through air, that's something that we are really privileged to have in a modern non apocalyptic society. So I think it's like when she, especially when she was in the truck, which I thought might have been a little bit of a step too far, because there has to be vehicles in this version of The Last of Us.
That's
But
true.
when she was like, "This is a spaceship," it kind of made me take a moment to like just appreciate the fact that like we have modern appliances. Like we're literally talking right now via like the internet and radio signals and frequencies, right? It's just it. I find it to just be like a really nice moment where like things that like we have right now may not always be here, and that's just something that I thought was a really nice small moment that kind of also demonstrated her perspective and her outlook as for her generation growing up without this technology.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it feels like when you start to see Ellie's perspective contrasted with Joel's, it really does feel like it's two different worlds, right? Because
Yeah.
it's the before and after of an apocalypse, right? Like that scene in which she's talking about you were in the sky. Yeah, it's exactly what you're saying. Like it showcases a sense of privilege, but it also just highlights that that may not happen again, right? You might never get that, or
Right.
society might never get to that point again where you can be there. So she's just left to imagine what it is. But I think even more so, it's like it's just highlighting that childlike wonder, right? Where it's like Joel is seeing it from a cynical perspective, and she's looking at it like you're in the sky. But then it's immediately conflated once you see the dead bodies right next to the plane, right? Where you're shown the harsh reality yet again, and that childlike wonder is diminished, right? Or just put to the back burner because life is about survival
Right.
at the end of the day.
I thought that going into that kind of like graveyard bit, I thought it was a great intro for Bill. And because, like obviously Pedro Pascal's character, Joel, tells the story of what happened to all these bones, right? And I was a little worried that they were gonna like show it, and like go too far into it. It's like, no, we already saw all the dead bodies. I don't need to see them just being massacred by a bunch of people. So the fact that they like that was how they introduced Bill was really interesting to me. Kind of going into that a little bit more, Nick Offerman's portrayal of Bill, he's been kind of touted as, kind of nodded, especially in the fandom for a long time for being would be a great option to play as Bill. So now that it's finally here and that you get to see it, what were your guys' opinions on Nick Offerman's performance of Bill?
Yeah, I thought he killed it. I think it's everything Bill should have been and then some.
Right.
Definitely it's a different portrayal because we actually get to spend time with the softer side of Bill instead of like the
asshole.
Yeah, it's there's more than just the asshole. Exactly. There's more than just the asshole. We get to like see a beautiful love story like happen, and like he really just portrayed it well. Just it was completely believable. It was, I don't know, their chemistry was great with his co-partner on screen, and he's the same guy who was he was in the White Lotus season 1.
Yeah.
I still need to watch that show.
Great show. Yeah. So
yeah, hop on that.
It's yeah, I don't know, especially because you can also see I love the switch up when the original like the first night attack happens and Joel like predicts like Raiders are gonna come, and then like you see Bill like switch up and you get to see more of that side of Bill we see in the game, like much more aggressive again and just kind of like ready to lose his shit at any moment, like untrusting of anyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, they really fleshed out his character. I think there's still enough nuance in the game where that remains fine as well, but I loved that Nick Offerman was able to portray it with such like believability, and I don't he did great. Give him the Emmy already, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, just hand it to him. Don't even give it to him. Anybody else.
Yeah, seriously.
Give it to him.
Yeah.
On the wake up and he'd be like, "Oh wow, look at this."
He's like, "Look at this, yeah." These nice people just sent this to me. Seriously. But after Parks and Rec, man, like after like he was, did you guys watch Devs, that Alex Garland show?
Oh yeah.
That shit was fucking trippy, and he was so good in that too. That's why I was like, oh, is this gonna be more of a Devs kind of character? But it wasn't. It was like It was kind of Ron Swanson-y when he was like getting all the shit from the tool shed. He's like, I know what to do. This is my town now. I was like, all right, that's Ron Swanson.
Yeah.
Then he starts doing sociopathy, and I'm like, all right, that's the guy from Devs.
Actually, yeah, because when I was first watching it, I immediately was thinking like, all right, so this is Bill Ronald Swanson, right? That's essentially the character that I was aiming at.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's a solid mix because it's built. It's like Ron Swanson in a real world scenario. Like if he was a prepper,
yeah,
in a real world zombie apocalypse, fungal infectious world. You're right.
Real world zombie apocalypse. Yeah,
you're right.
Fungal infection. Yeah. But no, I agree with you, Avi. I think that Nick Offerman just nailed it. I think. One thing I actually did really like about this interpretation of Bill as opposed to the game, like I said before, I didn't really I didn't mind it, but I just thought that Bill was really just a vehicle to get you from point A to point B, and it didn't really matter about his character to a certain extent. Like you get some backstory, and you do show that a bit of his history with Frank and the sexuality aspect of him, but ultimately he was just kind of a dick and someone you weren't really supposed to root for, but could exist in this world that is based on survival. But this interpretation of Bill I really did appreciate because it showcased he is a sociopath and he is not quite there, but it's post he was always like this, right? Even before the apocalypse, he was
that basement doesn't just appear out of nowhere.
You know what I mean?
He has a lair underneath a war chest.
Yeah, skill in there for sure.
It's a lair, right?
We had his own dungeon. No, he struck me as someone who's always socially awkward, and I think that building on his sexuality, added more nuance to that, right? Maybe he always was this idea that he can never fit within society, and then preparing for the ultimate end of society as some really extreme coping mechanism of trying to be himself. Now that he's able to be in a place with this person that he just met, Frank, and he's able to actually express himself because who's he trying to please? There's no one else here. You might as well just try to I don't know. I really did appreciate how much they expanded on Bill's character with the romance between him and Frank. I just think it added so much more depth.
I mean, it was a completely missing piece to who he was, right? The game. I mean, it's a huge divergence from the game, and I think I mean, we can go a little bit further into the game versus series differences, but there's obviously going to be some major differences, and I think when the game really demonstrates what Bill would have been like, and I think if Nick was given a script where Frank dies and Bill's still left over, I think he would have still given a really honest portrayal and a good portrayal of Bill in that particular circumstance. But the fact that the showrunners, that's more of a showrunner and where they wanted to push the direction of Bill, because you don't see him again at the end of the game or for the rest of the game or even in part 2. Mm-hmm. So I think the fact that they were like, no, let's actually do something with this, because to be honest with you, by the end of that episode, I wanted an entire series just with the two of them because it was so good. I mean, they went over 16 years of a relationship, right? And that there's definitely more raids than just that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. So I was just craving more than of that, and I guess that's one of the best things, leave them wanting more. That's a big show business a line that they always say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But kind of going into a different direction, what were some of your guys' favorite moments of this episode? To be a little bit more specific.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the parallels between Bill and Joel, especially the fact that Frank was just hey, I was talking to this girl on the radio and it happens. That's Joel. It's a smart way to integrate them. They had to have had contact. Right. So it's a really smart way to do that.
Yeah, it's a great introduction scene.
Yeah, I was like, oh wait, yeah, Joel's in the show, right?
Yeah. It's not a Frank and Bill series. It's not a Frank and Bill series.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah.
All right, they're characters. Okay.
But it did feel like they weren't like main characters, in this episode.
Definitely, yeah.
It wasn't their episode. It
Yeah.
really wasn't.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really appreciated that. And like just a small level of depth that added to the end point of in the beginning of Joel's story within this whole episode, right? Like his relationship with Tess, like the fact that he couldn't even say that they were in a relationship, where it's like, yeah, like
a situationship.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, though. Like it's quite literally a situationship. It's crazy. But yeah, no, I think that small moments like that really were cool. Like I really appreciated that. And it felt like it was their episode, but they did a really good job of expanding on everyone else and pushing the narrative forward, even though we're mainly focused on Frank and Bill. But that's for me.
What do you think, Avi? What was your favorite moment, or one of your favorite moments? There's so many. It's so hard to pick just one, I guess.
Yeah, honestly, definitely loved all the romance they did. It was really sincere. Felt just sweet. Just they had a lot of chemistry. But in the end, it just has to be like, I think, just Bill choosing to die with Frank, and it's still a happy ending. Like,
yeah,
they're able to die on their own terms, and they live like that cements it. Like they lived a fantasy so many people like would have dreamed of, especially for like two gay men at that time period, which is like makes it even more fitting,
Yeah.
And it's just like they were able to live in their own world amidst all this chaos and pain. In the end, they like died together, happy in each other's arms. And I love that final shot of, first of all, Joel wears Frank's he wears Frank's shirt, one of his plaid shirts when he comes down before he leaves. But yeah, I just love like how it carries on to them, and probably just the letter which ties it in, which we'll talk about. But just I loved how they wrapped everything up, translated it into Joel and Ellie's story, and like it just makes more sense thematically in this story because Bill found his peace and his love at the end, and that's what Joel is going to fight for.
Right.
And it is great.
It's like a passive.
Even though he wrote that letter with Tess in mind,
exactly. It still applies
him in that direction.
That part was crazy.
Yeah.
Where like Ellie just stops talking. I was like, oh my god, dude, I'm already done crying. Please just stop. Like no more.
But I think what's so powerful about that is the fact that we know what happens to Bill when Frank leaves. We see what happens to him in the game.
Exactly.
And
in the game too, right? He one of the differences is it's implied, or I think it's one of the letters, like he kills himself, and I think he says in the letter, it's like, I'd rather like be alone than with you for like another day. And like it's implied he kills himself in the game. Like that's fucking dark.
Yeah.
And they like 180 the shit out of that and give them like the happiest.
Yeah.
One of the happiest stories I've ever seen successfully done in like an apocalyptic setting. Like it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's been such a long time since I have like gushed at like something so cute and romantic, and I was oh my fucking god! Like
those strawberries, man, those strawberries.
Not on the strawberries. Not on the strawberries.
Too much.
That's some serious shit right there. I think for me, like to kind of like obviously all of that stuff. I mean, there's so many good moments. This obviously deserves to win an Emmy for best directed episode, best actor. So
like it's gonna be hard to top this. I know it's only January, or it's February now. Okay,
it's only February. It's February, but
it's gonna be hard.
2023 is setting up to be a good year, and we're starting off with a good one.
Absolutely.
But to kind of, I guess, bring a little bit back towards the main characters with Joel. One of my favorite scenes was seeing Bill and Joel sitting at the table, and Bill sitting there with the gun, and he literally cocks it for just no reason. They're having a lunch, and he just like cocks it.
Yeah.
They do a hard cut when he's like, yes, Frank's like, yes, we're gonna have friends and you're gonna like it. And he's like, they're coming here, hard cut, and he's just holding it and he cocks the gun, right? And Frank's like, don't mind him, I'm so sorry, right? And Joel's like, hey, I understand. And he's just like so chill about it. He's like, he keeps saying like over and over,
like, I get it.
I understand. And he's like, one of the best moments for me was where he was like, they were sitting there and like they're alone at the table and everything, and the gun's still on the table, and he's like, look, we can work together. We have stuff that you don't have. We have medicine, we have food, we have supplies, we have metal sheets, and put that gun out of my fucking face, right? And it was just so smooth, right?
Yeah.
The way and like this
that's Joel, dude. It's so
yes,
yes, not bothered.
No, he embodies him so well, and I think that was one thing that a lot of people like. Obviously, Pedro Pascal is amazing, but like there is that kind of like angst when you have a recasting of a really beloved character in a video game franchise. We've been hurt too many times, man. You ever seen the Mario Brothers film? It's not good.
I haven't actually. I've avoided it.
Oh no, it's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, if you want something for a good time, dive in, I guess.
Maybe on a Friday night, a couple beers in.
Make it more than just a couple,
a couple shots.
But that was just one of my favorite moments. It was a small little moment, but Pedro Pascal, again, he's even though he was very much a supporting character in this, he really is embodying Joel, in my opinion. But yeah, I guess kind of moving into that, some of the game versus TV differences. I was wondering if we could take a moment real quick and just take a look at a scene that ultimately we weren't able to see, which is the introduction of Bill and Ellie, which is really, I think, demonstrates kind of just the basis of who Bill is. And it would have been really interesting to ultimately see Nick Offerman and Bella Ramsey,
yeah.
Bella Ramsey, forgive me. Bella Ramsey's Ellie interact, but I think it's important to kind of take a moment and take a look at this mocap scene. If we could just get that up and play that real quick.
Take it easy. Any bites? No. Anything sprouting? Oh, God damn it, I'm clean. If I see so much as a crack. Ow! Stop! Son of a bitch! You done? Am I done? You come into my house, you set off all my traps, you damn near break my shooting arm. Who the fuck is this punk and what's she doing here?
I am none of your goddamn business, and we're here because you owe Joel some favors. And you can start by taking these off.
I owe Joel some favors. Is some kind of joke? I'll cut to the chase. I need a car. Well, it is a joke. Joel needs a car. Well, if I had one that works, which I sure as hell don't, what makes you think I'd just give it to you? Huh? Yeah, sure, Joel, go ahead. Take my car. Take all my food, too, while you're at it.
By the looks of it, you could lose some of that food.
Listen to me, you little shit.
No, fuck you! You handcuffed me!
I need you to shut up. All right? Whatever favors you think I owe you ain't worth that much. Actually, Bill, they are. Well, it don't matter because I don't have a car that works. But there is one in this town. Parts. There are parts in this town. Meaning that you could fix one up. All right. If I'm gonna do this, there's some gear I'm gonna need. All right. It's on the other side of town. Now you help me go gather it, and maybe I can put something together that runs. But after this, I owe you nothing. That's fine. A couple days from now, we'll probably be dead anyway. Good. Follow me. Whole goddamn town's booby trapped. Let's stay right on my ass.
Can't miss it.
Knock it off.
So good. Such a good introduction,
Seriously.
Yeah, I loved it, and obviously the people who were doing the mocap did an amazing job. And that's one thing that I think, you kind of forget about is the fact that Ellie and Bill are never going to meet each other, which would have been an amazing scene to just see Nick Offerman and Ramsey do their thing. But kind of diving a little further into that. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I mean, it's surprising, but it's like this version still exists in the game, and it's like that's the cool part. Like, if you want that, like, you can still play the game. And I still think like the first game is even though it's different, there's maybe stronger parts in the TV show in terms of the story they're telling. Like the game is still perfect on its own for the story they tell. Like Bill's character still works for the story in the game, you know. But if you want to bring it to TV and like make the episode mean something, you know, like there you have it. This is how you do it.
Yeah, this is
make everyone cry.
Get them tears running.
Seriously.
I 100% agree. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, the fact that you still have the video game adaptation to it, that's always going to be there. And yeah, it would be cool to see how Nick Offerman and his portrayal of Bill, because it is sort of different. Like especially with the mocap version, you can tell there's like there's a bit of a difference between Nick Offerman's Bill and
of course
video game.
Two different people are playing it, you know.
Yeah, of course. So you're gonna play it different, but yeah, no, I still think that like you don't want an adaptation to be completely like the same, right?
Yeah.
And that gives you more incentive to want to play the game and to see that interaction. And I think even though we might be missing out on something that's really cool, we still get a really beautiful story out of what's present in the TV show. So I feel like it's a good trade, more or less, honestly.
Yeah,
Great. And I guess kind of wrapping this whole thing up, which in this, and we can keep this going as well. For this particular chapter, which do you guys prefer? Do you guys prefer the TV version of Bill, or do you prefer Bill's arc rather, or do you prefer the game version of Bill's arc? Which way are you guys leaning?
TV version.
Yeah, definitely TV.
Yeah.
Once again, I think the games version is perfectly fine for that story, but like as a character and like what to do with the character, like the TV version for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad the fact that like we don't get to have Bill and Ellie and Joel fighting a bloater inside of a basketball.
Exactly, yeah.
But like, you know, again, if you wanted to see that, like you were saying, we know what happens to Bill in that game, in that version, you know. And I think especially with how dark The Last of Us can be, and it very much is, you know, to have a happy ending like that, even though it's a tragedy and it's, you know, I mean, essentially they both die, right? But it's probably the most happy of an ending that you can get in this kind of universe. So I think that's
100%.
Yeah, I'm on that vote as well.
Okay, so now I want to jump into talking about one of the final parts in the game we mentioned earlier, and it's about Bill's final letter to Joel, or I like how he says he's like to whomever, but probably Joel.
Yeah.
And Ellie finds the letter. He basically talks about like, I understand you, blah, blah, blah. But the final part of the letter is, so I'm going to tell you something because you're the only person who would understand. I used to hate the world and I was happy when everyone died. But I was wrong because there was one person worth saving. And that's what I did. I saved him. And then I protected him. That's why men like you and me are here. We have a job to do. And God help any motherfuckers who stand in our way. That shit's hard.
Chills.
Seriously,
I had chills when you read it. I had chills when I first heard it. It's
insane. Like that is how you tie in everything with their entire story, which is already like so well done, and you get it that it's like there's a happy story in the apocalypse and everything, you know. But then you tie it into Joel and Ellie's story right there. It's like, it doesn't matter if Bill wasn't there present with the plot, you know, like the thematic like resonance between them is like perfect now.
Right.
Right. And that's what Joel will do, dude. He will protect Ellie no matter what. And it's just like this last episode where Tess was basically like, save who you can save, and Joel dips. And then with what Frank says here, we are finally starting the show and what Joel and like Ellie's journey is about to begin, you know.
Right.
So yeah, what do you guys think about the letter?
It's chills, you know, and it's a perfect way. And I love the fact that, like, you know, he was like, please don't come into the bedroom, it's probably smelly.
Yeah, we left the window open. Dude, they're so nice.
Yeah, that's so considerate, you know.
Seriously.
Yeah. I thought she was going to be reading it, and like at some point, because he was still wandering through the house while she was reading part of it. And I'm glad that instead of him like going upstairs while you have like that parallel event of her reading it, and he like opens the door, like, please don't open the door, you know.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I'm glad that they just went with this route, and kept with like the minimalist and what
Yeah.
you imagine like they're doing. They're laying positions, like I can
Yeah,
just
we
see.
don't need to see that, It's
Yeah,
like leave them
yeah.
unbothered. They found their peace, and it's like
Amen.
they
Yeah.
have a certain like level of respect for the characters they're showing too, which is like really nice.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
that story's done. We don't need to see the aftermath of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that even kind of pushes to that final shot of the episode where we were kind of inside of the house, and now we're just pushing outside of that window, and we're back into the world of Joel and Ellie's Last of Us stand.
It's beautiful. Like, dude, they like drove into the sunset. It was like a happy ending for everyone, and it's like I don't think that's gonna happen again. Like, I think this is all the happiness we get.
Downhill from here, bro.
Yeah,
That's it,
dude. That shot of the window too. It's like playing the games too. That reminded me of like just like the start menu when you would like show the windowsills.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of. And then I was reading into that, and they had interviews with Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin where they are actually going to do a special thing with HBO, where every episode would start with a window, and it would be like an interactive screen where you press start and then would start the episode. And they're just like, yeah, but we never got it to work, but we filmed a lot of windows.
They were like, let's do one of the windows. We got to put the windows,
Yeah, dude.
So many inserts.
I
Yeah.
got 30. That's what you're doing.
So much B-roll of windows, bro. That's it.
Man, if I was a B-roll window shooter, I'm not getting any credit for this shit.
For real.
You told your family was like, yo, I got a job.
I got a job on an HBO show.
Yeah.
And you go there, it's like, I'm filming what?
A window, but like, who's in it? No one? All right.
All
Cool.
right.
How many windows?
I guess to kind of wrap it up, lads, what are your guys' predictions for episode 4? It's obviously Bobby said we're down on the happy endings,
Yeah.
I think it's gonna...
I already know that Melanie Linsky is going to be in the next episode. I know her from Yellow Jackets. She's really good, but she's supposed to play like the leader of the Hunters, and I feel like she's a brand new character completely. So. Right now, I think it's transitioning to the part of the game where Joel and Ellie get attacked by bandits to get their car stolen away. So I think that's gonna happen. Right. It's like the episode. It's like the SpongeBob SquarePants movie where they're like, "You're not gonna last a day out there." They like go over the line, they get mugged immediately. Like that's what the pacing of the game is too. Yeah. It's like it's immediately your car gets taken away.
Yeah. I hope they keep the magazine. If it's like in Bill's truck, like I think that would be a great little moment to kind of remind us of like the happiness that we had from the previous episode, only for it all to go like crashing the fuck down,
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I think obviously they're showing that they're showing respect to the source material, respect to the characters and like the fan base, right? So I think they're gonna do their best to stick to like the source material and the ethos that the game kind of presented, even if that means swaying a little bit or adding in new characters. Fumba, what do you think? Where do you think they're going to take it?
Yeah, man. So I think I agree with Abby. Like it's definitely gonna be that moment where you're immediately reach contact with a bunch of bandits, and maybe the episode ends with contact with I'm forgetting a homeboy's name, but like,
the black. I know. Hold on.
I'm like, yo, Jesus Christ, what was homeboy's name? Well, he had the younger brother.
Oh, yeah. Sam.
Sam is the younger brother.
Sam's the younger brother.
Like,
I'm on this. I can do it.
Henry and Sam. Yeah.
Henry.
We got a guy in the chair, dude.
Yeah. No more happy endings. No more happy endings.
Oh dude. Man, I just remembered how that ends. Oh my god.
Yeah. Dude, like they made me care so much about a character that's not even in the game. Like all the other ones are gonna hurt even more.
Can we talk about how it's crazy that they're in a zombie apocalypse and cancer is still a problem?
Yeah.
That was crazy to me.
Yeah, but it's like, so that's what was interesting to me too, because like it's even in the apocalypse, there's still cancer, like they lived a normal life. Cancer's terrible, but it's weirdly a semblance into a normal life again, and that's what's like tragic too. Like they live that whole life, and it's like dying of old age, essentially, like with cancer and everything. I don't know.
It's like a normal tragedy.
Dying in your bed, peacefully with the one you love,
Exactly. They still got that happy ending, and it's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's rate this. Out of how many strawberries would you give this episode? I'm gonna give it 5 strawberries. 5 out of 5 strawberries for me. What do you guys giving the rating for?
I'm giving it 5 strawberries, man. This was
5 strawberries from
5
Ivy?
strawberries.
God damn.
That's
one fucking great hour of television. Like this is what it's all about.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's so good.
Yeah, man. I'm just gonna ride the wave. It's 5 strawberries for me.
5 strawberries.
It's so sweet, bro. It's so unexpectedly cute.
Yeah.
And heartwarming, tragic. It's just good. It's good TV, man.
Yeah.
It's not TV. It's HBO.
It's HBO. Genuinely though, I mean, like that's the thing. HBO commits, man. They're gonna commit to good quality, filmmaking and storytelling. And that's just something that's just amazing about it.
They got heavy hitters, bro. Like they barely miss. Like their big shows are usually all fantastic. Like when is that the case? Like ever? It's sick. Like it's like there's passionate people working behind these things, and they're getting the money they need to bring those visions to life, and it's so apparent in this. Yeah, it's fucking amazing.
Until they reach season 8. And then they're just
until DB Weiss and those guys until they get offered a Star Wars show that they fuck up their original show, and then the Star Wars show gets canceled.
Like we have options,
and then no options.
Yeah. You need to appreciate what you have while you have it, and then you should have just done the 10 episode for 10 seasons like everybody wanted. You need to calm down, but that's for a different episode, for a different discussion. This has been the Firefly Review Board. If you guys like this, leave a like, comment down below, and we'll see you next time.
Peace, guys. Thank you.